Hello there, ATS EVS 533 students. Dr. John Troggy here, and I'm welcoming you to Module 2, the new module of our class that's going to be about the physics of climate. And more than just welcoming you, though, I want to make sure you understand what's going to be going on in this lecture, in this section. Here we're going to be starting to talk about the main mechanism by which the temperature of the planet changes, and that has to do, of course, with the greenhouse effect and the whole story about how radiative transfer through the atmosphere really happens and how changes in greenhouse gases are changing the profile of how heat is absorbed in the atmosphere and so on. All of which is kind of gritty. I mean, we're going to be getting down into the nuts and bolts of how the physics of the atmosphere actually does this without getting into more meteorological processes about redistributing heat around the planet and so on, all of which is really cool stuff, but isn't exactly what a student in an 500 level EVS class is looking for. Now, to do this well, we need to use a lot of vocabulary that you have seen before. Back when you took ATS EVS 113, the Introduction to the Atmospheric Sciences, which I believe is a prerequisite for this course, you learned a lot of vocabulary about radiation and radiative transfer through the atmosphere. You learned about concepts like the wavelength of the radiation. You learned about the fact that there's solar radiation and terrestrial radiation, also known as shortwave radiation and longwave radiation. You learned about some basic radiation laws, Stefan Boltzmann's law that describes the connection between how much radiation is being emitted and temperature, or Wien's law, which is the connection between the temperature and what type of radiation is being emitted. You learned about what can happen when radiation hits an object. We might not have used the word is incident upon the object, but that's the right word. When radiation hits an object, it is incident upon the object. And you learned about processes like reflection and absorption and transmission and scattering and so on. All of which I'm reasonably confident you knew back when you took 113. And for that matter, I know some of the people in the class took 105 as well, which is the 100 level, the Science of Climate Change class, where they see all that stuff too as part of a Modus Core Understanding Science course. But I also get it that different people will have taken that class a different number of semesters ago, and different folks will have retained that information better or worse. I mean, that's just the nature of how people learn and so on. So here's the deal. I really don't think it's a great use of my time in a 500 level class to be reteaching 100 level ideas about radiative transfer that was in a prerequisite for this course. That being said, I get it that folks will kind of have made some mistakes and forgotten some of that stuff and so on. That is why the first thing that you see in this module of the course is a link that says a 100 level understanding of physical climatology. And if you follow that link, let me just go and get the wording exactly right here. There we go. Okay, so here's the deal. I need you to measure for yourself how much you need to review this stuff. So what I've done here is I've put together a quiz. You can read the instructions on there, but basically there's a quiz. It has something like 10 or 15 little multiple choice questions that are about the basics of using terminology about radiation in climate science. Albedo, reflection, scattering, long-wave radiation, short-wave radiation, the basic stuff. Go ahead and take that quiz without looking at any of the other stuff on here and decide for yourself, based on how you did on the quiz, how you feel about this. If you get like half of them wrong, okay, you figured out for yourself that you don't really remember this stuff very well. Or if you get them all right because you're like, hey, I just took that stuff last semester, great. You don't worry about it. But if you're not happy with how that grade goes for that, here's what you need to do. You need to go through the rest of that page there, which has links to different parts of videos that the students watch in the 100 level classes, or links to different handouts and so on different parts of that. And you can kind of pick and choose. There's guidance there to help you. Okay, if you mostly got questions wrong about the electromagnetic spectrum, watch this video. If you mostly got questions wrong about what happens when radiation is incident upon an object, then watch these videos. It could be a few hours of going through that stuff. I doubt anybody's going to have missed so much they need to watch all those parts. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. But no matter what, you are responsible for making sure you know at the 100 level this stuff about climate. Okay? This stuff about radiation anyway. Radiative transfer, stuff like that. The kind of stuff you learned in 113. Now, once you have watched those videos again, you get a second chance to take that same quiz. Okay? And I'll keep the better of the two grades, and that's no problem. I don't really care. I'm just using this as leverage to get you to do it. Okay? So you will take that quiz twice potentially, the second time after you have watched whatever you have forgotten from ATS 113 or ATS 105, whatever you took, and then we will be ready to move forward. Because this could be a little time consuming, I'm giving you a little time here to take care of this 100 level stuff before the first real lecture in this module gets going, which is called Lecture 2A. Okay, they're just numbered like that, 2A, 2B, 2C, because we're in Module 2. Instead of it being on Thursday, like I usually do, I've actually pushed this one back to Saturday. That'll give you a few extra days to take care of this stuff in case it's a little time consuming. I don't think it will be that consuming for anybody unless, like, you just totally core dumped everything you learned in the beginning of ATS 113, which I don't think an environmental science major would do, but you never know. Okay. So you will then take let's see here. There's Lecture 2A and 2B, and between 2B and 2C, that's where you make your original contribution to the first discussion, and then you move forward, and there's a response to that, and there's a Lecture 2D, 2E, 2F, somewhere along the way. There's a second discussion in this lecture, and this module, and then eventually, of course, right before spring break, you have a exam. All right, so it's kind of just gets off on a strange foot because I just can't guess how you guys know or remember terms like absorption, reflection, transmission, scattering, wavelength, shortwave radiation, longwave radiation, albedo. I just have no way of knowing what you remember about that. All right, so we get off onto a strange start in Module 2, but this is going to give us a whole lot of tools for understanding climate change processes in the context of radiative transfer and radiative forcing and so on. All right, let me know if you have any questions about the logistics as to how this module is going to work, and good luck. I think you're going to enjoy this material.